Hello and welcome to Uncommon Game Showcase. In this installment, I'm going to be talking about a device that isn't really a game, but is definitely uncommon. And that device is the Play-Yan Micro. The Play-Yan Micro was released in Japan in 2005 for the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Advance Micro. This is actually the second revision of the Play-Yan, and this was released again, right after the original Play-Yan. So what is the Play-Yan, you might be wondering? Well, in case you couldn't tell by the image on the front of the box, it's an MP3 player and a movie player for the Game Boy Advance. Now, if you look at the back of the box, you'll realize it is completely in Japanese, and that is because this device was never sold outside of Japan. It was slated for release in North America, but eventually that was cancelled. But since the Game Boy Advance is entirely region-free, there's no reason why you simply can't import a Japanese Play-Yan and play it on a North American Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Micro or Game Boy Player or what have you. It will even work on the on the Nintendo DS or Nintendo DS Lite. Yeah, so it will play MP3s right off of an SD card that is inserted into the device itself. So here's the device itself. There's a little cartridge. It is slightly bigger than a standard Game Boy Advance cart, with this little lip on the bottom here sticking out, and there's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a minute. It takes a standard SD card, and it doesn't take SDHC cards, so your maximum size is 2 gigs if you have the proper firmware for that. On mine, I simply have a 1 gig card because I have never updated the firmware, so it will still only be limited to 1 gig. So keep that in mind if you're planning on getting one of these, because this is back in the day when there weren't SDHC cards, or SDHC cards were very, very expensive. So yeah, 2 gigs is your maximum file size, or maximum allotted size for SD card, and you can put on your MP3s. Just it doesn't take any sort of special formatting. They have to be MP3s and won't play WAV files or any other crazy formats. Only MP3s, and only ones that are 128 kilobits per second or less. Yeah. Other than that, takes just standard MP3s. Now, movie files have to be in .mp4 format, not standard AVI and not WMV or anything else that you might normally be used to. So there is this thing originally came with a converter program called let's see, where is it? It's Nintendo Media Stage version 4.2 for Nintendo. This was a specific version of Media Stage, which is a Japanese, I guess, file formatting software program. The software is in Japanese, and it will only work for Windows. But luckily, any old MP4 converter will work with this. So even if you don't have the Media Stage, it's not necessarily important, or if you can't run the Japanese software. And if you can, that's great, because that's what you should use. And the software allows you to choose various qualities of video when you're putting them on, sort of like in like an old VCR. The lower the quality, the more videos you can put on, because the smaller the file sizes will be, but obviously the lower the quality. So obviously for me, what I wanted to do was put on the highest qualities possible, and just put on a few videos. So I've done that. For this card, I've just put on some demo MP3s and some demo movies, and I'm going to play some of this. Now I have my GameCube out because I'm going to play this on the GameCube player to allow me to play this on the big TV and show you guys in action. But really, this thing is designed for a portable, little tiny Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Micro screen, a 2-inch screen. So while the video won't look very good blown up, it looks very good on a tiny 2-inch screen, and the MP3s, are all that. Now, you might be wondering why this has this lip, because I mentioned that earlier. And the reason it has that lip is because it actually has another headphone jack right built into the device itself. And that is because the audio quality that comes out of the Game Boy Advance, that goes through the integrated circuit of the Game Boy Advance, is not actually that good. The Game Boy Advance was designed again in 2001, so keep in mind that at that time it was pretty advanced, but over time, the Game Boy Advance started became limited in its audio capabilities, especially when you're going to put on real audio, like rock songs or whatever, you know, actual MP3s. So they included this little link port here, and this allows you to play this on a Game Boy Advance, and you can use headphones and not have to worry about the crazy dongle adapter for the Game Boy Advance, or use this for the Game Boy Micro. Now, this will also work with a TV, or work with just whatever DS or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to plug this in and show you guys some of this in action. Alright, so here it goes into my GameCube player. And turn it on. Here we go. Now, as mentioned, this is the second revision of the Game Boy, or of the Play Amp. The original one also included about 13 or so mini games that weren't very important, and this is actually the better version. This one was, originally launched in conjunction with the Game Boy Advance Micro, or the Game Boy Micro, in 2005. Alright, so there's two modes here. There's your MP3s and your movies. Originally, when the system launched, it had a little stick figure as a mascot, and in fact, if you just buy it normally, chances are you're going to only get the stick figure version. Nintendo had eventually released a little tiny skin file that turned the stick figure into the 8-bit Mario to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. So yeah. So here we go. Or no, not actually 25th anniversary. That must have been the 20th anniversary, or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Alright, so MP3s. Now this works, you simply press left or right on the D-pad to select the song that you want, and then press the A button to start loading it. So here's Clock Tower from Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, a Game Boy Advance game. So here's the sound output from a Game Boy Advance game. Obviously, that's not really that impressive since it is a Game Boy Advance to begin with. Game Boy Advance playing Game Boy Advance music. Alright, so press B. Let's change songs. Jail of Jewels is from Castlevania Portrait of Ruin for the Nintendo DS. So let's have the Game Boy Advance output that video, or that audio. You can control the volume by pressing up or down. Pressing down will make it go softer, and pressing up will make it go louder. Holding R will allow you to change the amount of volume that you get out of the headphones, but since I don't have any headphones plugged in, that's not actually going to do anything. And likewise, by pressing L, you get the bass settings. But again, since I don't have headphones plugged in, I can't really show you that. When a song is playing, holding left or right will allow you to scan or seek throughout the song. Pressing B will, of course, end the song. And pressing start will simply pause it. Pressing select will change the playback options. Alright, so Mobius here. This is one of the endings for the great anime Urusei Etc. Option that this also has is if you keep pressing the A button, you can play this like, I don't know, this little mini game where you press the A button in time with the beat, and then Mario and its Mario clones will jump. that is, of course, from the great anime Azumanga Daioh. And because it is the internet.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. West Philadelphia, born and raised, on the playground and there I spent most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing on school, and on shooting some b-ball outside of school. When a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight, and my mom got scared and said, "You moving with your aunt and uncle in Bel Air." I begged them to lead her with her. They had the day, but she packed my suitcase and sent me on my way. She gave me a kiss and then she gave me my ticket. I put my Walkman on the bed. I might as well kick it. First class, yo, it's bad. Drinking on juice out of a champagne glass. Is this what the people of Bel Air was like? Ooh, this might be alright. The plane went in, and when I came out, there was a dude like a costume and never my name out. I ain't trying to get arrested yet. I just got here. I sprang with the question like I disappeared. I went for a cab, and when it came near, the lights quickly breaking it and dicing the mirror. If anything, I could say that this cab was rare, but I thought that I was going to go home to Bel Air. Up to the house about 7 or 8, and I yelled to the cab to go home. See you later. Look at my kingdom. I was finally there. Fill my throne as the Prince of Bel Air.
Alright, now let's show you some movies. Now, again, keep in mind that the video resolution was intended for the Game Boy Advance, and as a portable device, being blown up to the TV, you don't really get that great video. But you can put on any MP4 file you want. So I've adapted just a few to demo here. So here's the opening sequence for Final Fantasy Anthology, Final Fantasy VI opening. Oh, whoops, not pressing the right button. Of course, Final Fantasy VI being one of the best RPGs and one of the best Super Nintendo games ever made. Similar to the MP3 mode. Here you can scan and seek the video. Let's see, another video. Just for demo purposes, here's what anime might look like on the Game Boy Micro, or on the Play-N Micro. So here's an episode of Azumanga Daioh. Now the reason why the audio sounds so horrible is because it's being outputted through the TV. With a pair of headphones, if I plug them into the Game Boy, or into the Play-N here, the distortion goes away because it is now being outputted through proper headphones, which is what the thing was designed for. so let's scan and seek.
そろそろ期末テストでしょ。みんなにとっちゃ辛い時期よね。でもまあそうは言っても日頃から宿題とか真面目にやってる真面目っ子さんたちには簡単なもんだからね。あ、ちよちゃんの宿題丸写しのともちゃんみたいなやつには無理ですかね。読みのも混じってる。うるせえバカ。まずいね。
Alright, and lastly I'm going to demo with one more video, and that is, of course, the classic Mega Man cartoon from the early 90s.
Give it up or I blast you to Junkyard City!
Blast this, Mega Man! Or should I say, Mega Mouse?
Sizzling circuits! Take this!
But now it's time to give you the boot! Don't let him get away! Find him!
No time. We gotta get this big gemstone back to Wily.
Oh, next time, Mega Man!
Guess man doesn't believe in doors. Alright, so that's basically all the things that the Play-Yan has to offer. You can put on whatever media that you want. And the quality is really quite good considering it's, you know, on the Game Boy Advance, and the Game Boy Advance isn't really known for its outstanding visuals or anything like that. This is, you know, not primitive by today's standards because, you know, pretty much every portable device from DS Lite or to the DSi to the PSP or, you know, whatever you have nowadays, iPhones and iPads and all that. Video playback, HD video playback is, you know, very common. So why would you want one of these? Well, keep in mind that I bought this when it was new and exciting and all that, but nowadays the reason to have one is just for the novelty factor, you know, to say that, hey, I got my MP3 player is my Game Boy Advance, or, you know, carry around the Game Boy Micro around with you and say, hey, I have a purpose for this thing, like it's not just a paperweight anymore. So, you know, it's got some sort of charm that way, but, you know, if you want one of these, don't expect to pay out the nose for them. When they were brand new, they retailed for around $50 or so. So, you know, these days, if you can find one, you might be able to get one for maybe 30 or 40, you know, but keep in mind it was only available in Japan, and as a Japanese only device, it has, you know, that sort of just prestige to it of, hey, look, we're the Japanese, we can do cool things with our shit, so check it out, you know. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see more videos in this series, check my channel and check out my other video series. I do the Controller Chronicles, I do a series on adapters called the Adapter Factor. I do my favorite games. I do this series, which is Uncommon Game Showcase, and I do some miscellaneous videos as well, such as Fantastic Flashcards or what else do I do? The Attack of the Family Clones. Yeah, you name it, I talk about it if it's retro gaming related. I do have some videos planned for, you know, more current videos or for more current gen systems. So if you have anything that you'd like to see in the future, you just feel free to leave a comment down below. If I can do it, I will. You know, it all depends on, you know, what I have available to me, and if I can possibly feasibly do it. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys next time.